Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at weather next 8 to 10 days in today's video. It's going to take us to around the 26th of May, so going towards the end of the month. And we're going to have unsettled weather coming up this week, but it looks like high pressure could try and get in as we go through into next week. Did the first update for Bank Holiday weekend last night, and that was indicating high pressure to be building in time for the Bank Holiday weekend at the end of the month. And that's being maintained in some of the model output this morning. ECMWF not really going for it. GFS is trying to get there, and I'll show you the detail in a second. But before I get on with that, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on all of the pages. Have a browse through the widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. Thanks so much for doing that. This video, as most of the pages, say over contact when you're watching the close back up again. It helps to pay for the website. We're going to start off with the 10-day accumulated precipitation chart in 3D from the Weather Outlook, and we've got rain coming up over the next week to 10 days, so we can see that the accumulation of all of this indicates quite widely anything between around 20 to 60 millimetres. The highest rainfall totals in the northwest, around northwestern England and north and west Wales, where we could go up to 80 millimetres of rain. But even in the east, we are going up to around 20 to 40 millimetres being signalled over the next week or so. So there will be bands of rain coming through, and this all starts tomorrow and then we'll carry on through the rest of the working week and probably into the weekend as well. Now, beyond that, we, as I say, are looking at high pressure to try and start ridging in from the Atlantic. So we've got the 500 millibar height anomalies here, and we've got the ECMWF on the top, of course, and the GFS is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 18,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. So on these charts, blue is extrapolating to low pressure and red, orange extrapolating to high pressure. So as I say, I've got the ECM on the top, and it shows I've got a trough of low pressure in a week to 10 days time out to the west of the country, with the jet stream doing something a bit like that. So it keeps us unsettled really as we go through into the final week of May. Low pressure from the Atlantic is still in the ascendancy, although the ridge is building here to the south of us, so it's not that far away from this ridge from the Azores pushing northwards, something like that. And if we went on a day or two further, I suspect that is the way the ECMWF would trend. The GFS is already going in that sort of direction, so we've got GFS on the bottom, and that shows an area of red and orange to the west and southwest of the UK in a week to 10 days time. And again, the jet stream does something like that. So this definitely implies a ridge is building there through the course of next week, heading up towards the Bank Holiday weekend. That's the idea that we had from the GFS last night when we did that first Bank Holiday update, and it is still there within the model output. So after a week or so, pretty unsettled weather starting tomorrow and probably going on into the start of next week, the GFS wants to begin to settle things down towards the Bank Holiday weekend of the end of May, of course. The GFS temperature precipitation ensembles, not all that exciting. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. Now, I've had a few days of pretty cold weather for the time of year anyway. Temperatures are going to be picking up over the next day or two, so we'll be returning towards average, but not really deviating all that far from average. Actually, there is signs of another little cooler spell there as we go into the start of next week, and then the trend seems to be upwards into the second half of the graph. But overall, you would say not a huge deviation in temperatures over the next week or two. Precipitation is coming back, so a lot of dry weather coming up for the next day or so, but from around Tuesday, Wednesday, we find the spikes returning, and then they continue into the end of the week and the weekend. Maybe a drier slot just here. That's heading up towards the Bank Holiday weekend as that ridge builds out to the west. But at the very, very end of the month and virtually into the start of June, which is just here, we've got the rainfall spikes returning again. That's right at the very end of the GFS ensembles and the GFS model runs, and it's not to be taken seriously. But it does suggest perhaps a bit drier for a time next week, and then maybe going unsettled again right at the very, very end of May into the start of June. So we could just time things just right, actually, for having a few drier days about around the Bank Holiday holiday weekend. The temperature anomaly from the 16th to 24th of May looking a bit cooler than average. I would expect this to start to tick up over the next few days, but it is a pretty chilly scene in the east and southeast of Europe, you'll notice. Very cool temperature anomalies there. Not as dramatic for the west of Europe, but even so, still coming out a little bit cooler than average as the anomaly for the next week. But as I say, I would expect this to warm a bit over the next 2 or 3 days. Precipitation generally looking a little bit wetter than average. That's particularly true to the north, a little bit less so down in the south, but overall a fairly changeable week coming up from the 16th to 24th of May. So here's the GFS for Friday, bringing low pressure in off the Atlantic. As I say, it all starts to turn and settle from tomorrow. We'll have cloud and rain to north and west. And then that will spread across the whole of the country overnight Tuesday and probably lingering across much of England and Wales on Wednesday. By Friday, we're still firmly in an Atlantic-driven flow, so we can expect further bouts of rain or showers then. Into Saturday, low pressure is in control northwest of Scotland, bringing bands of rain through the country with showers once more. That continues into Sunday, very unsettled weekend on the way with showers or longer spells of rain very probable. And then we go through into the start of next week and we start to see just this little bit of a ridge building out to the west of the country, and beyond that the ridge begins to move further towards us. So by the time we go through to day 10, which is Thursday the 26th of May, we've got that ridge out to the north and west, although we're still being played by low pressure to the east of us a little bit. But through next week that ridge gradually day by day gets stronger and stronger. By the time we get through towards the bank holiday weekend, I'll go beyond day 10, this is 276 hours away on Friday 27th of May, we are seeing the ridge then building through the country, and that carries on into the bank holiday weekend. So it's a case of an improving picture through the course of next week, with day by day the ridge getting a little bit stronger. We end up at the end of next week with that ridge sort of taking over. The ECMWF is not as bullish with this ridge though. So on Friday again, we're in this Atlantic-driven flow. We'll be unsettled with showers, longer spells of rain. That will continue into the weekend. Low pressure, monitoring in control. So expect a pretty wet, showery weekend coming up. Into next week, this is Monday, and still low pressure is driving in off the Atlantic. A little bit of a transient ridge ahead of it, but really it's this low pressure in the Atlantic that's in control, and that carries on into Tuesday. The flow's going into the southwest, so probably quite warm with that low pressure, but it will be providing showers or bouts of rain. And we go up to day 10, which is Thursday, 26th of May, by which point the GFS is building that ridge out to the north and west of the country. The ECMWF just keeps this low pressure in control, so further bands of rain coming through. And if it did come off like that, there would be question marks over the bank holiday weekend, I think, because it could be another couple of days at least before we would break out of that low pressure. So the ECMWF is more unsettled as we're going up to the day 7 to 10 time frame, running up towards bank holiday weekend, whereas the GFS definitely wants to build in this ridge through the course of next week. A slow old process, and there will be further rain through particularly the early part of next week, but eventually we get there by the bank holiday weekend. It's all looking rather changeable though. For the next week at least, we're going to have bouts of rain coming through, so keep your brolly handy if you're off out and about. I would suggest over the next week after today. Today's okay. And then next week it's going to be a case of whether this ridge builds in or not, and how quickly it does it, of course. I'll keep you posted on that. But overall, nothing to be overly alarmed about. It doesn't look like going back to any particularly cold weather. Just generally fairly mild with bouts of rain, so not too bad overall. Right, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.